permission, he's planning on, well, he has permission to just leave, he wants to bring back these shells and take care of them. Well, it is to me, because if you have permission and I'm going, it's in testing.
Well,
and
it's not gonna be.
What does it matter?
It's not gonna be this big. That's not gonna be the last
Good,
thing.
how are you?
He has 50 minutes and then the game starts.
It'll all be scheduled out. Karen and I will work it out. But yeah, I'm not.
I
Oh,
can
fire.
easily see, I know, but I can easily see him making a decision and going, hey, here I am.
Me?
Oh, you have the ball. Get a little article.
Oh, did they? Let's say 2 o'clock then.
Thank you.
I thought it was going longer.
Yeah, I know, but not as much.
All right, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Ellwood City Area School District to order. It's Wednesday, April 29th. Roll call, please, Mr. Zarone.
Mr. Mazzelli, Mr. Cortez.
Here.
Mr. Garda. Here. Mrs. Grossman. Mr. Morella.
Here.
Mr. Newpow.
Here.
Mrs. Pancero.
Here.
Mr. Trelli.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Mancini.
Here.
Mr. DeCaro.
Here. If we could rise for a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start by going to the visitors. If you'd please identify yourself for the record, and if you have anything you want to bring up at this point.
Erica Gray, PTO. Jennifer Townman, I'm a parent.
Bill Gilkey, parent.
No, nothing you want to bring up? All right. All right, we go to personnel, education, Mr. Garda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Number one, substitute list. In your folder is a list of non-professional substitute personnel for the 2014-2015 school year. I move the list be approved as presented.
Second. Mr. Cortez.
Got a roll call vote on that.
Yes. Any questions about the motion? Any objections? All right, roll call, Mr. Zarone.
Mr. Cortez.
Yes.
Mr. Garda.
Yes.
Mr. Morella.
Abstain, I'm related.
Mr. Newpower.
Yes.
Mrs. Pancero.
Yes.
Mrs. Petrelli.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Anything further, Mr. Garda?
That's all I have tonight, President.
Thank you very much. We'll go to properties and transportation, Ms. Pancero.
Thank you, Mr. President. HVAC upgrades bid award. In your folder is a bid tabulation for the HVAC project at Lincoln High School. I move that the HVAC contract be awarded to Guys Mechanical Systems Incorporated of Rochester, PA as the apparent lowest responsible bidder at a low bid cost of $789,500 for the base bid of $664,000 and alternates H1 at $33,000 and H2 at $92,500. Contingent upon receipt of all bonds and all applicable contract documents, and that the electrical contract be awarded to Black Hawk Neff of Newcastle, PA as the apparent lowest responsible bidder at a low bid cost of $32,740 for the base bid of $31,657 and alternates E1 at $221 and E2 at $862, contingent upon receipt of all bonds and all applicable contract documents. I further move that the testing, balancing, and commissioning services be awarded to WAE Balancing Incorporated of Mercer, PA at a low bid of $32,700, contingent upon receipts of all bonds and all applicable contract documents. I finally move that the board president and the board secretary be authorized to execute the required contract documents.
Second. Mr. Garda. Any questions? Any Any objections? Motion passes.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pansara. Recognition and communication. Do we have anything from them?
We saw in the paper that the girls,
Yeah,
their
it's
sister.
really team, broke school records.
39-year-old record.
Great.
And something I was,
It was in the cold, too.
I didn't think I was that old.
All right, congratulations to the girls' track participants. All right. New business.
I have a facility request. It's last minute. There is a Zumba-thon that is, they've requested Northside Primary School on May 13th from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. It is a fundraiser for the backpack, the Ellwood City Bread Basket Program or the Backpack Program. It's a fundraiser for that, and we're asking for permission for that.
It was submitted?
It was submitted, it was all just done today, that's why last minute.
All right, so that's a motion to accept that, second by Mr. Cortez. Any questions? Any objections? All right, motion passes.
Ready for new business, Mr. President?
We are in new business, Mr. Cortez.
I move that the employment agreement with Mr. Mancini be approved and the board president be authorized to execute the agreement.
Second,
Second.
Ms. Pansara. Any questions about the motion? Any objections? Motion passes. All right, roll call, Mr. Zerone.
Mr. Garda.
Yes.
Mr. Morella.
Yes.
Mr. Newpower.
Yes.
Mrs. Pansara.
Yes.
Mrs. Petrelli.
Yes.
Mr. Cortez.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Now, we adjourn this to go to the budget meeting. All right, visitors, any questions at this point, comments? Anything else for the board under new business, old business? All right, if there's nothing further, we're going to adjourn the meeting to go into our budget meeting.
No, I'm all right. Everything's over there.
Need streamers.
Yeah, I mean, just-
Come over here.
Yeah.
Sit by and share. I'm good. If I can just quick one up to that drive. Ah, she's just, but she's working. She's doing
Table at the other end.
But I'm. Still like so. A little inside joke. First Good worker, good. We're gonna try and go on shrubs path. I like the 45 ways. Any other ones?
Thank you, John.
Oh, you made it. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to start with the athletic fund tonight. There's only 2 pages. Put it on the screen. I also made a handout so you can take notes if you choose to. Let me just say a couple here.
Right.
We've got if you don't, in the end, want them, I'd be happy to have them back. Would you like one, sir?
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, we spent some time, Judy and I, going through the athletic budget. There's really not a whole lot of change, but I'll go right down to the object codes like I've done with the general fund budget. Starting with salaries, we've kind of maintained the current salary structure. Not sure where we're going with that, but I did what we've done in the past year. So that's the biggest chunk that would happen for 15 to 16. And then just some minor changes, $140 for registration, $276 decrease for purchase services, which are basically your umpires, your announcers, statisticians, and the decrease there is related to less contests, basically. $216 for the rental of an indoor tennis facility. I guess the boys use that on occasion to hold their matches. The biggest decrease in the athletic budget is transportation. I kind of realized after talking to a couple of people that they no longer use 4 buses because they now have a trailer that they haul a lot of their equipment. So I believe it's 2 or 3 buses that they now use. We were budgeting 4. We also looked at some of the sports that traditionally we haven't spent all of our money. Basically in the spring, because of cancellations, we were able to reduce the budget by $5,500.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
I noticed when I was doing some of the checks that there's things that I hadn't seen before, like videotaping of matches, and think, where is that built into it?
It's in the athletic budget in that 390. See the line number 4 in purchase services. That's all your officials, umpires, gate help, timers, scorers. It's got the ambulance, physical therapist, and again, you can read what's there. So that's where those people will be. Going on to the next set of athletic fund numbers, again, really no changes in the bonding insurance. We still provide athletic insurance, that's a $10,000 bill. Communications, that's for the internet service at the stadium, so the football people can do what they need to do. Travel, we increased $1,600, and that's relation basically to the swimming program. With the state champion this year, we would anticipate similar results next couple of years. So I put $1,000 in for that. And then we also had potentially some extended season next year for cross country and girls basketball. So again, a little bit of an increase there. Equipment and supplies, it's down at this point. I don't expect it to increase dramatically. Bids aren't due though until Friday, May 1st. At that point, we'll tabulate them, I'll turn them over to Dooney, and we'll go through the process of figuring what budget allocations we want to make for next year to bring to you next week. Again, I don't anticipate those being any major expense that we're not aware of at this point. I would expect them to be in line. Basically, the reason that the number went down this year is that we had cheerleader uniforms in there last year. So one spot, we were able to take $1,500 out for that. And then we went back through and tried to scan every line item. We basically adjusted miscellaneous expense accounts. We took some out for awards because we realized we were over budgeted. And again, that all totals about a reduction of $4,200. And then just a minor increase in dues and fees. Basically what that really entails are entry fees into various tournaments and so forth. So when it's all said and done, as we speak, our athletic fund budget is really the same as what it was last year. Some of the money's been shifted around just a little bit, but Again, I wouldn't expect anything major to happen when the bids come in on Friday, so this is all incorporated into the general fund budget already, but we wanted to break it out so you can kind of see the specifics of what goes on in the athletic fund. Yes,
I
sir.
got an off-the-wall question, and it's probably more appropriate for Jimmy, but I'll throw it out there for you. If football is getting some new uniforms, I don't know, was that in the budget?
It would be in the specification that he put together. But I guess the point of view I'm coming from, he had over $20,000 to work with last year. So within that $20,000, there's going to be something this year that he doesn't need again. So that's kind of how I'm thinking this will play out, is that the allocations they have should be adequate, I would think. And if there's a sport that had more money that they used last year and they don't need it this year, then we'll just kind of reconfigure it. If anything major comes up though, and again, we'll share it next week.
The question is, with the approval, and you say the bids are coming in, and that would include uniform bids? I'm just worried about the turnaround time for the start of football. By the time we would accept it, and I don't know how that process works.
We're on the same pace as we've been the last bunch of years, Mike. As soon as I get the approval, usually after the preliminary budget's approved, we send out the purchase orders. And I've not really had a problem to this point getting the fall stuff in, because they do have several months to get it.
Not for football.
Well, football, I mean, it would be to June to July, it would be 3 months before they would actually need a new uniform. I mean, if we got the bids out, approved after the preliminary budget, that goes out the middle of May, middle of June, middle of July, middle of August. I mean,
So it would be approved the middle of May, that
Yeah.
meeting. Okay.
right.
All right, good, thank you.
Yep. I mean, any other questions on the athletic fund? And again, this is all incorporated now into the general fund, so there's no separate distinct fund anymore.
Yes, Mr. Rowe, the total budget of $390,896.
390. Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
How is that percentage-wise from our total budget?
I can tell you in a second. No, I can't, I don't have a calculator. $400,000 over 28 million. I mean, Mr. Mount, less than a percent?
It's 1/70th,
Yeah.
so it's a little more than 1%.
Okay,
Okay.
1%.
1.4%, thank you.
Yep. Okay, if there's no questions on the athletic, then we'll just go right into the revenues. So what I would point out, the top 5 lines are property tax. And what I did was I did not pull out the state property tax reduction allocation. I think last year I would have shown a huge tax increase because I wasn't sure that, excuse me, the property tax reduction allocation was coming, but I'm pretty certain that we're going to get that. So I just kind of showed it, last year's budget to this year's budget. We are showing an increase of about $168,000 because what I've done is I've gone back and looked at collection percentages. And I've increased the collection percentage to about 0.91%. It's actually 0.9063. So that combined with what our assessed value is, it's pushing out just a little bit more money. And I feel pretty comfortable that will hold true. So I've incorporated, that does not include a property tax increase. That's just an increase based on assessed value and an adjustment to the collection percentage. Public utility, I mean, traditionally we're at $10,000, no change there. Payment in lieu of taxes, you know, I've got $1,500, but that ranges and it bounces up and down. So I guess I've been hopeful and put 4,000. Per capita tax, we're down budget-wise approximately $5,800. And I think what the problem is this year is that for the first time last year, per capita tax bills went out as their own individual invoice. They used to be attached to the property tax bill, and we collected a whole lot more money. So I've adjusted the budget, but I'm going to be watching it closely to see if the second year isn't just a little bit better now that people are aware that they've not had the per capita incorporated onto the property tax bill. A lot of people got notices from Berkheimer over the summer, so they're kind of aware they now need to pay that property tax bill and the per capita tax bill as separate bills when they come. The LST tax, I reduced the budget from 22 to 20,000. I actually sent a note to Berkheimer, and I'm not going to change that budget, but they did come back and say, you know, you can probably expect $16,000 to $17,000 in 2015-16. So I'm gonna be hopeful that we'll get to 20,000. On the earned income, they recommended that we budget between 1.24 and 1.27, so I feel pretty comfortable that we're right on the mark. We have had small declines each year when we transitioned from Central to Berkheimer, and that's just because now they're catching up on some older taxes, and so I feel comfortable that 2.75 is a good number. Realty transfer, that bounces up and down, again, depending on what's happening in the market. Over the last couple of years, we've definitely received over 80,000, so I feel comfortable with the $80,000 number. Delinquent property, again, that's a number that's hard to read. In some years it goes up 700,000, 800,000, some years it's 580. I've estimated this year that it's going to be about 601. So, I mean, again, I feel comfortable that 625 is an attainable number. Delinquent property tax, now that we have Berkheimer doing the work for us, I mean, I am seeing some definite positive results. It's not a big number, but again, I think $1,000 we should be pretty comfortable. Interest on investments, unfortunately, interest rates still are not what they were years ago, so that $25,000 is pushed out by a percentage on interest earnings of about 2.7, which is just ludicrous, but I mean, that's where we're at and the kind of money we can expect. Gate receipts, again, not much of a change, 28,000. We hit 27 this year. Again, hopefully we can get to 28 next year. Federal revenue from the IU, there's an increase there, but that's basically related to the allocation we get in federal funds. So as our allocations for Title I, Title II, and IDEA go up, so goes our revenue. Those are offset by an equal number or an equal amount of expense on the expense side. So it's basically a wash. Rentals, I mean, we've not had quite the experience the last few years, so I just made a minor adjustment there. Private donations, we seem to get them every year, but again, I can't count on them. I don't know what they might be, so I've not budgeted a number for it. Receipts from other LEAs, this is when we have kids from other school districts come into our district to IU classes. There's a new fair share agreement that the board approved, I believe, in January, whereas at one point we were charging $300 fair share per student. That's now been reduced to $1,600, and so goes our revenue down. Now, if we had kids in other placements, our costs would be less as well. So, you know, although we have hosted more classes than we've sent kids out, but I've adjusted it accordingly. We do have one out of resident tuition student that we would expect a similar number this year. And then miscellaneous and non-refunded, non-recurring expense. Those are refunds from prior year expenses. Again, nothing this year, but it seems like on an annual basis we do get some money. And I've done the best I can through March 31st or April 15th. Some things could happen in the last 2.5 months of the school year. Now we're into the state subsidy. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say misleading, but last year the basic education subsidy didn't include the accountability block, but it did include the Ready to Learn grant. So if you look at the 14-15 budget of $11,465, and you take the estimated 14-15 of $11,117, add that to the 282 that you see halfway down the page for Ready to Learn, those numbers total about $11,400,000. So what I did was I just budgeted 15-16, the $11,400,000, and I'll get to the governor's proposal in just a bit here. Tuition court placed student, that basically is based on the number of foster students that you have in the district. For 14-15, we were paid for what happened in 13-14. So I think that's a pretty solid estimated number. I've looked at what our foster tuition or foster enrollment looks like for 14-15, and I believe it's going to push out about $5,400. Special ed, there is a small increase in that. They've now figured a different funding formula that's been put in place that basically indicates you get more money for your more involved kids. So the more $50,000 or $75,000 bills we have for students, the more state subsidy it's going to push out for. So for the 15-16 year, it's about $24,000. Transportation subsidy, I'll increase just a little bit from $615 to $630. There is an inflation index, so I feel pretty comfortable that we can move to $630 without too much of a problem. And the next several numbers are rental or sinking fund. And basically what those numbers are is we pay our bonds off and then we submit to the state, and the state sends us some money back. There are small decreases for next year because our actual cost in bond expense is down by $7,000. So the less we pay, the little bit less we're gonna get back in state subsidy. The accountability block grant, according to the governor, is gone, so that's all the way out. Ready to Learn was never budgeted, so that's not incorporated. And we did receive $100,000 this year for a loan that we used to pay for the telephone system. That $100,000 in revenue is offset by the $100,000 in expense. Social Security is down just a little bit, basically because we pulled out the substitutes. That's now a contracted service, so we took approximately $190,000 out of the budget, which again would reflect less Social Security expense for us and less subsidy that we're going to draw out. Retirement is the big one, where we get an additional $269,000. Again, our payments went up 400 and some thousand, and our revenue went up 269, so there is an offset there. And I realize I'm going quickly, but are there any questions to this point? Okay, the last number is we have some access reimbursements. These are monies that we get reimbursed for services we provide special needs students. We decided to pull $133,000 out last year, which would basically pay the expenses of our special ed administrator. There's not $133,000 left to pull out, but there is approximately $68,000 left to pull out, so I've incorporated that. So, now we get kind of to the bottom line. You can see the total local revenue, 1516 is 10.1, total states 15.9. Again, without an allocation for basic ed. Our access revenue is 68,000, which is total revenue of 26,182.
Where's this page, Rich?
It's the second number down, third column over.
No. It's not in this manual.
No.
Oh, it should be. Hang on. Yeah, it's on the second page, total state
Oh,
revenue.
second page, we have to get back up.
Yep.
Sorry,
What I did was just pull the numbers forward from the various spreadsheets.
sorry, you lost me then.
I'm sorry. Are we okay then?
Page two, and which,
If you go through where it says the blue sheet starts
first blue
with,
sheet or the second blue sheet?
the second blue sheet,
Okay.
I'm sorry, is general fund revenues, and the first page, and then you go to the second page, there are your state revenues.
State revenue?
Oh, I'm sorry, third page, I'm sorry, third page.
Third page is 11, it's not those numbers.
What do you mean? I mean, they're all the same.
It's not, that page is in, this is the.
Here it is, right here.
Oh,
Total state
bottom.
revenue. Yeah.
That's like what, 9,
So you gotta look at, you're looking at 15,922, the second number down is total state revenue, up
Okay,
there, on
up
the right-hand
there,
side, which
from
matches
this-
this number here.
with the third column,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking for that page,
I'm sorry.
and that page isn't in here.
Right, I'm sorry, I should have included that, that's kind of a late addition to the, okay. Are we all right then, everybody's squared
Third
away?
page, it's the 1, 2, third column over, under the 15-16 budget, the bottom number is what he's looking at, total state revenue.
Okay, we good? So we got the total local, total state, access revenue, and the total revenue is 26,182. I had $450,000 from our fund balance to fund the budgetary reserve, which we hope we wouldn't spend the budgetary reserve, but and that's how I show it. Which gives us total revenue and financing sources of $26,632,135. Total estimated expenses, which changes a minor bit from last week, is $27,900, which provides a deficit, or gives us a deficit of $1,293,000. From that, I pulled $350,000 because that's a one-time HVAC expense, where we'll transfer the general fund revenue to the capital reserve fund. So we've got an overall deficit at this point of $943,000. Now, again, I guess the next overhead would not be in your packet, but I'll get that for you so you have it. The unknowns, I've kind of labeled it, is basic education subsidy. The state is promising us, or not promising us, the governor has proposed a $419,000 increase for us. So I've not included that. I don't really know what to do. We've got one side saying put it in, we've got to put a plan together, submit it by May 15th. We've got the other side telling us don't count on it, you're not going to get it. So I'm not really sure where to go with it. The other thing that's an unknown at this point is cyber charter funding reform. The top set of numbers indicates what our current 14-15 costs are. Those will go up for 15-16, but you can see based on the number of students we're anticipating, that cost is $573,000. If you use the governor's proposed rates of $5,950 and $89.85, total cost is $336, so that's a total savings of $236,000 that we could take out of our general fund budget. So you can see there's a swing there of almost $600,000, but we're not sure really how to proceed. We'll proceed with the board's direction in the most conservative manner, not to get ourselves expecting something that's not going to come. And I believe that that's my last slide. I apologize for not giving those two to you, but I'll get them for you. And I guess that now takes us to where we have to kind of get some direction so that I can complete something for you for next week that would be considered at the May board meeting.
So the next section in here is just a repeat of
Yeah,
what
it's
we
just
got
a
last
repeat of
week.
what you got last week, yeah. So that's what that is, that's just a repeat of what was provided on Monday. I'm looking for a pile of paper here. I've got plenty of them. I have to. Here's what we had kind of left you with on Monday. This is the list of things that are in there. On one side is pretty much the exact list that we gave you on Monday. On the flip side, the administrative group took some time, prioritized stuff, and we're kind of hoping to get some direction that we possibly could. Yeah, one second.
Yeah, I got mine.
That could be yes.
Steve, I got a question for you. I was up in the small gym today, and I talked to Miss Lambert, she was looking at the floor. She said some kind of moisture, something's causing that floor to have some kind of mold or some kind of residue buildup.
No mold.
Okay, well, she thinks it's mold.
Yeah, no mold. What's happening, and I don't know why, okay? There's sleepers that run from the bleachers to the wall that they climb, okay? And these boards are mounted this way on the floor, and for some reason, in between a couple of sleepers, we're getting humidity, okay? We've tore them up when they were tore up, we've looked in the floor, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Right.
What we did do last year is I got really extensive because I'm thinking it's the steam traps. There's probably 150 steam traps in this building.
Right.
So I went through the whole school last summer. I got about 6 guys. We were climbing the tunnels. I changed every steam trap in this school. Whether I thought it was good or bad, I didn't care. Changed every one of them.
Right.
And I think that has stopped the problem. But I'm not sure. Only time will tell us that, because there's nothing in those sleepers. You know, like if you open that up, you don't see steam, you don't see moisture, you don't see nothing. You know, it's like you open that floor up and you're hoping you see a pipe or something.
Right.
There's no pipes, nothing. You know, we've gotten into the tunnel down by where they store all the arts stuff. You know, the articles for the plays and things like that. We busted out a hole, starting up the ramp in a wall, so that we could get into the nearest tunnel by that floor. No pipes in that tunnel at all, nothing. So it's
Big mystery.
yeah, but see now it hasn't done anything now this year.
Right.
And and I said to Kirk, I just hope everybody has patience, because the only way we're going to tell if it's fixed is with time. You know, now some of the wood that we replaced on there has shrunk. And I'm blaming that on not very well dried wood, okay? And some of the wood that we put on there has not shrunk.
Right.
You know, do I blame it on the guy that installed it or blame it on the wood? You know, I mean, it's like a flip of a coin. So all we can do is wait and see. I have in the budget, I'd like to redo that floor.
Right,
But
that's
I don't want to
fine.
redo that floor until I'm sure that the floor is going to be pretty again.
Right.
You know, because that floor I think would be a beautiful floor refinished.
Right.
But I don't want to refinish it until I'm sure the problem's solved.
Exactly. Well,
So-
that's why I brought that up, because
Right.
I've been hearing that $17,000 for sand refinish and.
Yeah, just to toot my horn a little bit, when we changed all those traps, we knocked off about $18,000 off the heating bill.
Yes, I did see that too.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
good.
so that was a tremendous move the whole way. And it wasn't meant to save money on the heating bill, it was meant to try to stop that old gym floor. So it was twofold, yeah, so.
Thanks.
So what is your plan then for doing it? It's in the budget. How long do you want to wait? How long are you going to be?
Well, I couldn't get it done, I couldn't get it done right now anyway,
Right.
because in the summer times when, I want to change the floor too, I'm going to try a different floor, providing you approve that, you know. The floor that's in the big gym now has a shellac, I'm going to call it, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but if you go into that big gym and you look at the cracks on the floor, okay, they're cracked, okay, the shellac is actually cracked. Okay, and that's from the wood moving, you know. If you would find a piece of shellac that you could actually peel, it would peel just like a piece of plastic. Okay, but it doesn't do that there because we refinish it every year. But if we would leave that go like we do the small gym, you'd actually be able to physically grab a hunk of that and peel it right up. Okay. Now I was in contact with a guy, he did the floor in Laurel. He's telling me that we'd have a lot better luck if we went with his product that is not like a real thick shellac. It's kind of like a water-based type stuff, you know. So you won't have that cracking because the cracks will already be there, if that makes any sense. You know, like where the joints are in the wood, when I say cracking, it's like real irregular, okay? Just like somebody got a knife and just peeled it right down.
I've seen it.
Yeah, but now this guy's telling me you won't see any of that because they'll re-sand the whole floor and do that. So my thoughts are as soon as we can get this to the point where I'm ready to do this, I'm going to switch products and do that, the old gym, the way the other guy says. Now we have 2 floors, and we can see which one we like better.
So what's still your time frame on doing that?
It'll be probably in the winter, like maybe over Christmas or something. What I'll have to do is when I decide that I think the floor is good and stable, then I'll call that guy, and it'll be up to him when he can come. But it'll be pretty aggressive because he's going to re-sand that whole floor down to the bare wood, and then put new painted lines. Another thing to think about too, which I learned through all this, the white and the blue paint on the floor, it's discolored in the big gym. The white's like, it's no longer white, it's like a yellowish. You know, the blue should be, when it was brand new, the same color as the pads on the walls. And if you look at the blue now, it's not. And this guy that I want to do the old gym floor with assures me that it'll be like that forever. Not the discoloring, you know, like the white will be white all the time. So.
What about other surfaces? Like I've been to other gyms and stuff, they use like, I don't know if it's wood or I don't know if it's more expensive or what.
Oh, they have all kinds of stuff out now.
Right, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if woods are best, keeping the wood that we have, that's what you're saying, sanding it.
Well, that's for aesthetic value for the old gym.
Right.
I think, you know, if my opinion is, just my opinion, if we were going to go to a different floor product, like they have this stuff that's like rubber.
Right, that's what, yeah.
Yeah,
So like they even have
and if we were going to do
lines.
something like that, I would want to do that in the big gym, you know, where it would be more of a show gym, you know.
Right.
But the old gym, in my mind, is like, I don't know if I'm using that word right or not, it's more aesthetic, you know, it's more old-fashioned, it's more, you know, you want to keep it the way it is, I think, you know, so. But that's for you guys to decide.
Speaking of floors, what is the flooring type that you want to replace the carpeting and north side with?
I have a sample here, not with me, but in my office. It's basically the same floor that's in the multi-purpose room over at North Side. That same floor.
I'm not familiar with what it is.
I can, if you want me, I can go get it right now if you want to see it.
Do you mind?
Just a little no, it's in my office.
I'd like to, thank you. So I'm reading this right, the recommendations are everything that was on the front. Am I-
Top down.
Did I miss anything?
Well-
That's just in the order?
Just in the order, yeah, it says below are the education facility priorities listed in order. So if you're gonna delete, work from the bottom up.
Gotcha.
So I think like what you were saying for number, the facilities,
Right.
sanding, refinishing, painting, so you can get away with it until he figures out what's going on with that floor, so it doesn't have to be in the budget this year, it'll be in next year once they, so we kind of made that the bottom priority, where north side is number one for him.
That's the same floor that's in the Ford Motor Division. It was put in like 1940 or something like that.
So it's rubber?
Don't quote me on that, you know.
That's cool. It's not gonna wear out then?
The multi-purpose room floor looks terrific. That's why I picked that floor. It's not gonna look anything like that carpet did in 12 years.
I know what's in that carpet, that's the problem.
You've never seen the carpet?
That's, you know.
You've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't, you just.
Oh, it's horrible. It's
I
horrible.
don't have carpet in my house, that's why.
Right.
How does this come, Steve, in like?
Big sheets. I won't be able to install it. It'll come big sheets. And I have pictures of it. I didn't want to bring it in now. When it comes time to make that decision, I'll produce some more pictures. But they cut, kind of like Hartman's multi-purpose room. They'll cut like anything we want, any designs. We can put the Wolverine picture of the Wolverine, you know, here and there, spotted here and there into the floor. We can run a zigzag. You know, whatever we want, they can do. And they cut it with lasers, so it all stays tight. We don't ever have to finish it again, other than just wax it up. No more grinding, no more buffing, no more nothing. It's a terrific floor.
We'll probably have to go out to bid for it.
Oh, absolutely, but I had to pick a floor because it has to go out for bid. I can't have everybody and their brother coming in with different floors saying, you know, my floor is better than this floor, my floor is better than this floor. So I had to pick a floor, so I did some minor research, but my sole reason for picking this floor is because it's over north side and it's holding up terrific. So.
Well, the cool risers, the ones they use for the choir concerts in the auditorium stuff, were they just old?
30 years old, like some of the bolts, the coral risers.
My opinion, they need replaced. It's not so much the risers that the kids stand on, it's the baffle wall.
In the back?
Yeah. If one of them baffles would fall down because they're not safe, wow. You know, I mean, at 30 years old, it's because of how they're used. It's time, I think.
Of course, it's not in this particular budget in any way, and I don't know what, you know, it's more manpower than it is anything, but as we were walking through the school today, the green paint, the old green paint on the back, what was that?
It's on the bridge, on that stairwell.
Backside. Can we paint that?
We painted this whole school 2 years ago. We painted the whole school over north side last year.
Green?
I haven't had, no, I haven't had a chance to do the bridge. You know, I mean, I only got so much manpower.
I know.
And the people that paint, I think, do a terrific job, because we do a lot of painting in the summer. You know.
Sure. Is
And we-
that
That
we-
one
right?
hallway up, one coming off the bridge, and where the biology classrooms are, that hallway looks really nice. I'd like all of our hallways to eventually
That's my goal,
look like that.
you know, but it takes time.
Right.
I need money.
Okay, well, I don't see paint on this, so that's kind of why I'm asking.
Well, the paint is really a budgeted item, because, I mean, it's a budgeted item, but it's not like a big ticket item. We just
It's
kind
more
of do
manpower
it.
than
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, and it's the labor for painting is free, you know, so,
Nothing's fine.
I know.
Okay. I guess we come down to the teacher part, the replacement of the staff members. anybody want to start? From their homework? I'm always ready to go. Joe asked us to take a look at this. He gave us many different scenarios in which to pick. But I guess I'm just kind of curious to see where everybody sits. Their thoughts are on rehiring, replacing, not replacing.
So what grade are we losing again? We lost gym teacher, second grade, counselor, and sixth grade.
Nobody knew since. Everybody else is. Class sizes, I don't know if you want to read the PowerPoint, but he gave us the number on the fourth page of the PowerPoint, the class sizes first and sixth grade, so that you have an idea of how many kids were in the classrooms, and then he changed it. Do we have another copy of the PowerPoint presentation?
I do have a copy. I can make additional copies. Let me go make some copies.
Because then you get to see the class sizes for each grade, where we go, if you go from 5 to 6 each grade, depending on where enrollment meant, you eventually have to hire another one to replace it once that fourth grade class got through. There's also a picture, Matt can see of the blinds, you had asked about it, not that it's a very clear picture, but when you can see through, and that'll kind of tell you the condition.
So we all agree that Perry's, we can go through the facility ones, right? Northside carpet's gonna be in, right? 'Cause we already have the floor and everything, what we're gonna do. So Perry parking lot, we were talking about this last year, and we said we were waiting off to see what we're gonna do with the school. But I mean,
Didn't we spot patch last year, Perry?
Did it ever
We
get
patch,
patched?
we patch out there every year.
and are these current pictures here on this PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty bad. So
That
that
was
needs
the way it
done.
looked the year before.
That's just yesterday.
You want to see it?
I know, but I've been out there. Okay, so 1 and 2 are we all in agreement that 1 and 2 under facility need to be done?
I guess the one thing I could throw out and offer is that those are both one-time things.
Right.
So-
Same with the blinds.
Yeah.
If the blinds are that bad, that needs to be done as well. Yeah, I saw those pictures too. And walk behind scrubber,
We haven't bought a walk behind scrubber for 12 years. We use it every day.
okay.
All the custodians use one every day. It's a very valuable piece of equipment. And I mentioned to Joe that we probably should start revitalizing these and start, you know, I mean, we're just putting a lot of money into old ones, we should be buying new ones.
So is that something that we're interested in doing as well?
Yeah.
Right, another 10, 12 years to do it. So do we want to hold off on number 5 then? sanding, refinishing, painting the small gym floor until we figure out what the problem is.
Make sure it's solved.
Right, because I don't wanna sand, refinish it, paint it.
I think, and please don't quote me on this, I think we're looking at like about 17,000, I don't remember
Yeah,
what
that's
that is.
Right.
Yeah, but I got a price last summer on redoing it,
Right.
just so we'd have an idea.
So you think the wise thing to do is to hold off?
Absolutely, yeah, I don't wanna redo it and then have, if you walk in the gym and look, there's big black spots and it's just, it's ugly. I'm ashamed of it, but I don't wanna do anything till, you know, I wanna spend smart money.
Now we're down to $942,000.
I don't think we have a choice on the risers. The kids' safety has to be paramount.
We're in book adoption, I mean, I think we're all in favor, we all knew that our books are needing to be upgraded to cover, either Common Core or, whatever they want to call it.
So we need books.
Sometimes together.
We're a school.
That makes sense, right? Now, the coral router's at 25,000, is that for the risers and that backdrop that you're talking about?
Yeah, and it takes me about, well, we usually take 4 guys in there, and then Felicia always gives us a couple of the senior students to
Right.
help us, you know, with the lifting and stuff like that. We really supervise them well so nobody gets hurt, you know. But it's a big chore with these ones now. I didn't see the ones Felicia wanted, but she assured me that there'll be less labor, you know, so.
Did we compare prices with any other brands?
That's Felicia's thing.
We have budget numbers now, but everything we do that is a large expense, we'll make sure we get competitive pricing.
That's the law.
But then the safety issue will be, I mean, when it goes out to bid, they'll make sure that they're safe.
Yeah, I mean, we have to write a spec.
Oh, they'll be upgraded. You know, these are safe. I don't want to mislead you to think they're not safe, but they're old. You know, when they're that old, you never know what's going to happen. You know.
Well, they said last week that the screws were coming out of the backs.
Oh, we have them like the floorboards. We've had, because we interchange these. Okay, so sometimes the I'll call them bleachers. Sometimes the bleachers are round. Sometimes they're straight. Okay. Well, when you make them straight, you have to take a round one and reverse them. You have to take the bottom step, put it on top step, put it on the bottom, and turn the middle one. Okay. So now, because we've done this so many times, the bolts that hold them on have come out. So now we have big toggle bolts holding them in, and nothing big, but you know, I mean, it's just it's very labor intense every time we set these up because they're so old. You know. And Felicia told me that the new ones now, you don't have to do all that now.
That's
To
what
go
I'm
from a
saying.
round to a straight, you just, I don't know what you do, but it's like pretty simple, I guess. I don't know.
Is there anything on the list under educational that we're objecting to?
Well, I still have a problem with the teachers, the way they want to replace, well, we haven't decided on how to replace the teachers yet. I'm not
Or
sure.
if,
Yeah.
All right, is everything else on the list? Is everybody okay with everything else?
How many Chromebooks do we have at Lincoln right now? This record, you know?
We have 30 in a cart, and we probably have maybe 30 more from that grant we did, that's all we have.
It's only 60 for the
Yeah.
whole school.
Yeah,
That's good.
We're still working on the max that you had, Matt.
Oh, okay.
yeah, the Macs are still around, so that's where we are.
You're starting to get old, Matt.
Yeah.
But the computers from the teachers are now going to be put into play too, correct?
They'll be, the teacher laptops will be rolled back into the library and into one of the labs, and, you know, we can't put them on a cart because the battery life on them is just not that good. We can't load a cart up with them. And we're not gonna be running wires in a room. So they'll be put into places where where they can be used, but they have to be stationary. They can't be rolled in.
So what do we gotta do with the Macs? then that are up there. How many cars do we have at max?
We have about 5 or 6, what Ms. Rucker and I talked about, when they go through them this summer and re-image and do all that fun stuff.
Right.
Whatever's salvageable, keep, and still try to put maybe 2 carts together.
Right.
But I'm thinking the majority of them are just, they're at their end.
Right. Like, can we send those down to like the elementary school or something like that?
No.
No, they're not
There's
They got
salvageable.
enough.
They're not.
They're beyond.
They're north
It-
side.
I've observed
Curry has
classes.
the best stuff.
Yeah, I've observed classes, Matt, where it takes 10 minutes to
Just
to
a
log
lot.
on.
Yeah, I know those things are old. I think I got them whenever I was in high school.
Yeah.
I just want to point out on number 5, the 66 tablets at the kindergarten level, we gave you a price of $13,134. Unfortunately, I got updated pricing today, and it's another $6,600, I think, Ellen. It went from $199 to $299. So again, my thought is you're going to keep the $13,134 and reduce the number per classroom, or just be aware that we would have to add another $6,600 to get 66.
So we'll go up to about 20,000.
Yeah, I think they're like 19,134 or something.
That's $17,000.
What'd you say?
That's $17,000.
Oh, I have the bid rate, it's 19,734.
Yeah, 20,000.
Does the kindergarten have any technology as it is right now?
They have 10 iPads. We have 10 iPads.
10 iPads. That's a lot.
That's, now, that's per kindergarten.
Right.
Yeah, not per room, per kindergarten.
Right.
And they're probably 4 years old. Probably.
There are a few more tablets coming your way though with that grant, correct?
That's first and second grade, that's why they're not even in here.
Oh, okay,
I
that's.
put that on that
versus-
slideshow, that first and second grades are getting 120 through that grade.
Okay.
So
versus
they're
second
covered.
grade.
What kind of tablets are these?
They're the same, Samsung Galaxies.
Okay.
The 10-inch, they're not, they don't like the smaller ones for the little kids, so the bigger ones have to, is what we're sort of looking at.
First and second grade. For their part of the grade, of the hybrid one.
So the ones you're proposing are the same thing as the second and third grade?
No. The second, or first and second grade are Chromebooks,
Keyboard.
and these are actually just the tablets for the kindergarten, the touch.
Okay.
No keyboard.
I think we should get them. Kids are all using them at home anyway.
Right. Okay.
Chromebooks, the 9 Chromebooks for Lincoln, Marine.
Yeah, they were just saying how those old Macs are about to fall apart.
So are we all okay with that? Anybody, I heard it, but I didn't hear a response in general. Mike's quiet up there. What's your new thought?
Are there any objections to anything on this list? Going once? Going twice?
The teachers.
Well, other than that. All right, so what are your thoughts on item number 1, if we're okay with everything else?
If we don't replace the PE teacher, how would PE go? Does that make sense anymore?
There's 3, well, 3 at the high school, 1 at elementary. You'd have to move somebody down from the high school. You'd probably have to reduce the number of credits required for people to take phys ed, so some kids would be done. They wouldn't, because if they took phys ed their freshman and sophomore year, got their 1 credit, they'd be finished. They wouldn't have to take phys ed their junior and senior year. You'd probably lose CPR and driver's ed the high school?
Probably you would.
You would?
Why would you lose that?
Because that's the
I don't know if
teacher.
teacher.
Some- So, that's,
Why they couldn't teach the class?
We
How
don't have
many
enough
classes
room in
are
their
there?
schedule, they have to do the required 7th and 8th grade, and then whatever 9th or 12th we'd still have to offer. There would be no room for 3 teachers to do that.
Doesn't John DeBuono do driver's ed?
No, Mr. Lemon does.
But I mean, I thought DeBuono was able to do driver's ed.
He can, but there's still, he needs to teach 8th grade health and 9th through 12th gym. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know, I'm for replacing as a teacher, because it's too tough trying to do high school, elementary.
We did it to the music teacher, music department.
Not
We
as
went from
many
5 to
kids.
4.
Huh?
You don't have as many kids.
It's not ours.
All the kids have.
Right, but I think you wouldn't have a single sorry kid that doesn't have to take gym in his junior, senior year. I think that that's kind of, by that point, I'm kind of over it. So I could see changing that recommendation there. I don't know that they get anything out of it, like a gym class. Like if there were specialty classes, you
So
know,
you say-
weightlifting or something like that.
Are you saying change the credit requirements?
For gym, I would be okay.
Well, the
with
junior,
gym.
senior gym classes, they do go into curriculum though.
They can?
They do.
Is that part
I
of
think they
the,
do.
is that
Yeah.
part of the, just the, so girls and guys, or is
Yeah.
that just?
No, yeah, girls and guys, both. You just-
So that's
that
part of the
curriculum, I guess.
curriculum? Is that like 9 weeks, or, I don't know, what's like a junior or senior curriculum for gym? Anybody, tell me, because I have
Could
no
be a
idea.
federal mandate come down requiring us. Probably just around the corner.
Yeah, but what is the answer to Renee's question? What is the curriculum for
They
the?
have different
11th
units,
and
and
12th?
since a student is scheduled in 11th and 12th grade, it goes pretty much every other year. Because when they're in 11th grade, they're not gonna do the same thing when they're a senior. And their gym classes are divided up into semesters, 11th and 12th grade together, 9th and 10th graders together. So it's a 2-year cycle with their curriculum. And those it is, it's just units. It could be varying units in 9th and 10th grade for football, golf, into the weight room, volleyball, whatever the units are. I don't have them right in front of me to answer that question specifically, but they go through different units throughout those 4 years. 9th and 10th graders are together in gym class, 11th and 12th graders are together. But everybody goes through the fitness center at one time or another during a school year.
What is the fitness center?
Weight room.
Okay.
I'm sorry. At the high school, do the students take gym the entire year?
Depends. Semester, they have 90 days of gym, either way. Some students have it for a semester. Some students who are in science labs, they get every other day opposite of their lab. So they have it all year, every other day. It ends up coming out to 90 days.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe they could do it like one half of the school year, then the other half not have it,
It's
or.
already set up.
So if we hire, there'll be 5 PE teachers, right?
How many PE teachers we have now?
5.
4 and 1.
Used to have 6.
For the high school.
Didn't replace the last one
Oh,
that resigned.
4 in the high school, and then Mr. Blount's the only elementary. So elementary, he does K through 6. Is he, that's full schedule? I don't know how slots work.
Yeah, he goes from the school day to day, because they all have to do their 1 day a week gym, so he goes to different school every day, I guess.
It's looks like three visits because we have 3 lunches, so he has to come back 3 times to get all of my students.
So, we'd hire, if we do hire a gym teacher, would we send would we hire him for the elementary, hire him or her for the elementary position, or would we send somebody from Lincoln down to do what Mr. Cloud was doing?
That's our decision, but I think we were talking about just hiring at the elementary. Satisfied with kids, with like what Ms. Panzera
Right.
said, who has driver's ed, who doesn't, who can fill those classes.
So we need a gym teacher.
I'm okay with it. If we can find other budget areas. I'm not comfortable with $1 million deficit.
Mr. Surratt, what is our maximum amount we're allowed to raise taxes?
0.7804.
Roughly 300,000, somewhere
A little
around.
over 339, I think is what the number is.
It's done 600,000 deficit. What's the total amount in our fund balance right now?
5.7 million.
Okay. We'll keep doing that for 6 or 7 years.
Then we'll be broke.
It's a non-renewable source, yeah, we can do it.
Are you gonna strawberry for the PE teacher?
Separate or do it one all together?
I think we ought to bring them in.
All right. Let's, is anybody opposed to the gym teacher? Mr. Garda's okay, I'm okay, Kathy's okay, Matt,
Okay.
Renee? Zero?
I would ask Mr. Mancini if those four, if you had to choose one that you didn't, we can do that. Well, if the board said we're gonna do one of them's we're not gonna approve all four. I know what your position is, I understand that.
That's fine.
Well, I don't know how we do that.
Guidance, we looked at the numbers last week, and I think we all pretty much felt that we needed to hire the guidance. Does that anybody have an issue with that?
Well, there was a discrepancy between hiring what is the guidance counselor and hiring a, what did you call them, social worker?
The halftime guidance counselor, halftime homeschool visitor, social worker, who would help families K to 12.
What's the difference in salary for those two?
It would still just be a guide, you would hire a guidance counselor, you would hire that position, and do K to 2 guidance half the time, and then the other time, suggestion is that we're probably at the point now where we need more help with families and help in the home and help getting kids to school, steering parents in the right direction to get assistance, visiting homes, visiting students, refusing to come to school, attendance issues, getting human services involved, those kinds of things that would alleviate some of that that's going on with guidance right now.
So this person would have a K to 12 certification?
Guidance is always K-12.
Okay. But that would move Debbie up? Is that your,
Yeah, I think, I can't remember my slide on that one. It would be,
No, I'll create two positions at the high school, but depending on, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, I mean, what side of who that is.
there's so many of those.
Why would it create two positions at the high school?
Not create, I'm sorry. there would
7 to
be two
9.
positions. Sorry, wrong verb.
So we would be hiring for, Debbie would
Be
be
a K
moving
to
to
2, be
79.
a K to 2 halftime. That person, the rest of the time would be assisting K to 12, visiting, home visits, homeschool visitor, social. You'd have a 3 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12.
Okay, this counselor would be based at Northside for half the time? And to get the local
district-wide.
students probably up here?
Well, Perry, Hartman, wherever they're needed.
Okay.
So
But the office
would be
would then
mostly
be at
probably,
Northside.
hopefully, in homes, and, you know, parents and.
I like that idea better than just hiring a,
Is that part of, like, do you hire that person for this position? Because this would be the new hire, if we hired somebody to do this.
Or we would price it down maybe as guidance and say, hey, here's a new position. Would somebody like to step into that? Or if Ashley would like to do it, or, you know, one of the current guidance counselors to do it, we'd have that discussion amongst them and then hire the position that's open. So,
But there's no special requirements or anything that are needed to do that kind of home social work? It's just basically what guidance counselor is.
they would be permitted to go into the homes?
well, they would call, they would, you know, get all that set up.
Okay.
Surprise visits.
No, I don't want to be doing that.
I just wasn't sure how that worked.
Yeah, I didn't either, because,
Yeah.
I mean, people can take such offense to you going into saying, well, your son's coming to school and he's not clean enough, or he's not, you know, he's hungry and he's, you know what I mean? Like, when you get into those kind of, I didn't know if there was some kind of a liability or special training that needed to go in besides what just.
Typically, it's gonna be attendance issues. So getting the kids to school, why they're not coming to school, working with the teachers, be a liaison between psychologists, special ed, teachers, setting up programs, plans to reduce truancy.
What's our attendance for
Yeah.
this year looking like?
Pretty standard in high school.
Yeah. Usually don't calculate till the end, so.
Well, at this point, how many kids are being retained due to attendance?
I won't be able to say that until the end. It's not retained at the high school, it's just they don't get credit for the class, they might take summer school. Nobody gets retained in the grade, just not credit towards that class.
One of the main things we struggle with families is we'll all be in a meeting, we'll agree on something, and then there's not the follow-through, but the parent will be in agreement, yes, we want to do this, we want, you know, we're going to take it to the doctor, or we're going to sign for you to evaluate for special ed, and then there's not follow-through. So this person would be able to help with that follow-through, and, you know, okay, they said they want this, but we sent it, you know, we sent paperwork out to them, they haven't signed it, that kind of.
It could be a step before this pursuit goes to truancy court. Estimate, what, a dozen to 15 you've been through truancy court this year at the high
Yeah,
school,
something
7
like
through
that.
12?
To help prevent that.
Correct.
And there are a few programs through Human Services, like there's a crate truancy program, but they have limited numbers. And so one of the things we're doing now is we're prioritizing our students based on, you know, need and discussion that I might have with the counselor. We might look at grades, what we know about the family, and we might want 10 kids into this program, but we have to talk and see who Debbie Wish is trying to get in from Hartman or Perry, and we just recommend who we think are the most at risk, and this would be a person that could probably help assist with that as well.
And whoever we hire in this position will know full well that they're going for home visits, right? Whether it's somebody already in the building. Well, I don't want somebody to get hired and going, well, I'm not comfortable doing that. Sorry, that is your job.
Who handles that kind of stuff now?
No.
We do, we have time.
I mean, yeah,
We make home
we do-
visits.
we do do home
As
visits.
administration, we make home visits.
But it's not the same level.
No.
We don't have somebody giving the same level of support that we would like to be able to.
They're going
have.
there to get the kid to school.
Yeah.
They're going there to
Yeah,
call
we
the
run-
police.
we run.
They're going there to get the police, to get the kid to school.
They know my red truck very well.
So they're not going there to get the parent help or.
Right, yeah, this person
Leslie
is
and I-
getting at the root cause.
Right.
Yeah, trying to get the parent, direct them to where they can get help.
When Leslie and I go out, it's usually to get something signed. So, you know, I evaluated your student, they qualify for special ed. We can't start giving them services until you sign saying you want these services. They really need them. You said you want them, but you're not signing anything. Like, can you please sign and start giving them services? And, you know, reviewing the information. That's typically what we're doing. It's not as much to provide the parent support.
Would a guidance counselor be legally able to get those signatures?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a counselor. I mean, they have that mental health training, not just academic kind of guidance, they'd have more of that mental health. And if the parent needed more specific things, like with regard to special ed or evaluations, you know, Leslie and I are always available to go with that counselor.
Okay.
Whatever.
Thank you.
This would actually be a new service we could provide to try and get these kids identified at an earlier age to get the help, and through the parents, get the help to get the support.
Like I said, that's the option that I like versus just putting another guidance counselor.
Well, yeah, it's obviously just not going to be that.
All right, so that brings us to the elementary teacher and the STEM teacher at Perry.
I'm concerned with hiring another teacher with declining enrollment, with tenure at 3 years, and then they're there. And the word tenure 3, I don't get it.
What would not hiring a teacher do to class sizes? You gave us that
Which,
information
you
before.
mean the,
In elementary.
It's on the
Right.
PowerPoint.
Well, I guess we have to sit down as administration. I mean, in the past, whatever's happened, we just kind of make the adjustments and based on not hiring. So we would sit down as administration and put teachers in the grade levels that most needed and most effective. And, you know, when you know, if we go down to 5 teachers in 4th grade and we all of a sudden go down to 5 teachers in another tested grade, you know, could be affecting 2 tested grades, could be, you know, so, we have to sit down, look at enrollments and make that decision as an administration and put people where they're the most effective, like we've always done, so.
But when we hired Brittany last year, it was with the understanding that she would fill the anticipated opening in the 2nd grade anyway. So we were looking at that point then,
That was, yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, she's in position. She already
Mr.
went.
Super retired. So
Oh, I forgot about
we made
that.
some rearrangements, and that's already sort of been.
I apologize, I forgot Mike returned.
I'm okay with hiring the teachers. I think that's exactly what the school district needs is teachers. But
I'm
I
not
think,
comfortable with increasing class sizes that large in elementary.
I agree. You're correct, that's the core, that's where it all starts, the foundation.
So including our retirements this year, we have 6 teachers per grade level?
In the elementary. yes.
Right now, 6 across the board.
All right, so everybody's comfortable with the elementary teacher. Leaves us the STEM teacher at Perry.
Well, there's still elementary teachers.
No, remember, they said that replace one and get the STEM teacher prepared.
Well, my thoughts are replace them both and do not get the STEM teachers.
Would it be possible to hire a specific aide qualified to run all that equipment and everything, and then the teacher would teach? The aide would be responsible for maintaining the equipments and the supplies in the room. I know that's not what you want in the big picture, because like you said, the ones that are technology advanced will take advantage and the ones that aren't won't, but
Anything's possible. I think that's tricky, to be honest with you. I think that's tricky. I think getting the right person in that place would be tricky doing it that way. But it's
Talking about
possible.
hiring an aide instead of a teacher.
an aide instead of a
Those
teacher.
are creating another position, I guess, in the contract. That's what it looks like.
Person could bump, run it and say you have a chance.
Yes.
Well, I think you'd have to
No, if you
drop the
made it
job
totally
description.
separate, like.
You have to draw it up in a job description that is very specific.
Well, I mean, we
Yeah.
did that with
Yeah.
maintenance and custodial can't
Yeah.
bump out. Like, I told you, the district that I worked in, I couldn't bump, I was a paralegal. I could not bump into anything that wasn't paralegal. I couldn't go to custodial, I couldn't go to special ed. I could only bump into secretarial, clerks, and paralegal.
That, creating a new position would have to be done through negotiations with the SCIA.
Would it?
If we did it before the contract was up, it would have to be negotiated in as a memorandum of understanding. They would have to agree to it.
If I read the grant today correctly, is there not some training involved? Wasn't there some training there for those all of the teachers impaired? So they all will be trained on how to use the
Good
equipment.
idea.
No, they're gonna be trained on how to help develop and create projects in this sort of vein, in the makerspace vein, by the people at the Pittsburgh Children's Museum. The people at the Children's Museum do not have all the things that we are getting. They are just the people who come up with sort of the ideas, the big picture ideas, to give the teachers sort of a starting point. They're not gonna train our teachers on how to use the equipment. They may demonstrate equipment, but they're not gonna be they're not experts on that stuff. They're gonna be experts sort of on the classroom part to get the lessons started.
I mean, if you have a teacher, it's the same thing. That would be the EAE.
Well, I think if we're going to hire a teacher, I think we should hire a teacher to teach one of our core subjects, math, science, reading, English, something like that. I'd like to use the little resources that we have into providing a stronger core curriculum rather than something that, and something that's really nice to have, such as this maker's lab or this maker space. But I mean, if we're going to be hiring a teacher, I think that we should hire a teacher to teach that has a stronger effect on core curriculum, honestly, than something that not all students would be able to use, but not all students would necessarily benefit from. I guess it's kind of, I don't know.
So I kind of disagree with that, because I think the direction that this country and the world's going in is to the electronics, the computers, the robotics. So the earlier those kids get hands-on with that, the more advanced they'll be, and maybe more of them will be scientists and math professionals. I'm just concerned with dedicating a teacher to one room in one building for an entire year. And I know the long-term plan is to move that through the district, but with a $1 million deficit, can we do that?
Well, I agree with you, Kathy, that, I think that it's a kind of cutting edge thing that kids will get excited about. And I think, Matt, for your concern is that you're gonna motivate kids to get interested, like Mr. Keeley was saying in his presentation, or when he discussed it last week. I mean, it is reinforcing reading and mathematics and those things, but it's in a way that some kids are gonna get excited about. I can
Right.
relate.
My thing is if we can get the kids in there, no matter if we have a teacher there or if we have their homeroom teachers in there with them, they're gonna be excited to use it regardless. I don't think that we're gonna have kids in there that are making the chess pieces and are engraving those business cards and stuff like that. I think if they have a teacher in there with them, guiding them, they can, you know, print out a piece of plastic or something, and be excited, still be excited about it. I don't think we need a full-time teacher dedicated to that position, because I really don't think that, like, I don't know, I just really don't think that we're gonna benefit that much from it.
The regular teachers are gonna have access to it, they'll be able to get in whenever they schedule.
I still think
It will be
there's
still
enough there to spark the interest and get them into those fields and everything, but I really don't think that we're gonna, with the time that they have there, a limited amount of time, I mean, I really don't think we're gonna be creating any geniuses or anything.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know, of course, I mean, but
This is new technology.
It's new to us, but it's not new.
A lot of potential. On the morning news, I seen a young man who had a prosthesis hand that was made with a 3D printer.
yeah, that stuff's really exciting, but I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't think we're gonna be, what grade level is
This is
this?
third and fourth grade.
Right, I mean,
Third and fourth, or just third?
Third and fourth.
how much are they?
Yeah, I understand. I think it's just a start.
I think it's good to get them in there,
Down the road
spark
would
their
be
interest in, like, absolutely, this stuff's cool,
It's
I
just-
wanna get
it's
my
just a
hands
start.
involved with this, I really wanna learn about this, but I mean, I really don't think that you're gonna learn and benefit from that, like, become a scientist, or become like one of these, you know, something that will be able to develop these kind of prosthetics until you're taught that kind of stuff in, like, the Fab Lab or something up in the high school, when we can really say, where older kids really have the opportunity to
Think it through.
use and think it through and actually apply stuff there, so I mean, I don't know, that's just my,
See, I kind of disagree with that, because my grandkids have been using iPads and tablets since they were 2 years old. They can load their own games, process their own things. My 3-year-old granddaughter can type her own name. I mean, it's constant stimulation, it's constant teaching. So I don't think just because they're young, they won't be able to do it or get excited about it.
right, no,
The
that's not
teachers
what I'm
can
saying,
do
I'm saying
that.
that the teachers that we have available that, and we can put even like a librarian or something in there to just, so we can train our teachers to like teach the kids how to use this kind of stuff. We don't need, my opinion is, we don't need a teacher in there that, I'd rather hire that teacher up here at the high school and have that equipment up here at the high school within the Fab Lab than hire a teacher down at the 3rd and 4th grade level, because I'd rather a teacher apply that education to a more concentrated group that's more I feel like this is something to stem their interests, but it's not something that's, I don't
So
know.
you think it should just be like an elective in the classroom for the teachers to use?
That's what it was gonna be one way or the other.
Well, when he won the grant, we didn't really even know till we got it, so. Because when he presented the grant, he said he needed somebody in there to run it. I
Right.
mean, he didn't hide that from us in any way, shape, or form.
No, but if the teachers are trained, the teachers will be able to utilize whatever project they wanted to use, because there's a bunch of different equipment, a bunch of different stations, it's not just one. I mean, there's more than just the laser printer and the 3D printer and the laser. There was trying to think now, there was the 2 different maker workshop places, and there was a movie, some kind of movie, can't remember the name.
Video production
A video production station, there was a couple other different things, so there's a lot of other little details in there, but the problem that I see is you wanna put a teacher in there, but they're not gonna have the grade level, each class isn't coming in there to get taught every day. You're not having that teacher teach to
Yeah,
the
and that is my
potential.
problem.
That's
I
the
do have a problem with that.
I mean, they're not, you know, we get to hire a teacher, we need to have that teacher being utilized the whole day. And I feel confident that our teachers at that building, you know, look what Mrs. Oviel does, I can guarantee she will figure out whatever she needs to figure out, and she will be utilizing every bit of that equipment. Anything she wants to, it will be there. So let's just hope that that Fab Lab basically motivates our teachers so that they will use it. Because they're the ones who, perform the magic.
But if that's the case and that's the direction we go in, how do you maintain the Fab Lab? Who's gonna make sure it's safe, supplied, and operational?
The teachers. Why can't the teacher? If you're going in, you'd have to have your supplies ready for any project you're going to do. You would be prepared. I mean, if you're gonna have, even like Valentine's Day, you make Valentine's bags, you make sure that you have bags for everybody and you have cutouts and, I don't see it being any different. Maybe a tad more planning because you can do something a little more inventive. I don't know. I mean, that's gonna be to their discretion anyway. This teacher wasn't going to be teaching a class per se on, they weren't gonna be deciding what the teacher was going to present. At least that was my understanding of what you said. Am I correct?
No, I would have this teacher work collaboratively with the teachers, with idea starters and projects that fit within the curriculum that's being taught, whatever that specific subject might be. So there's an infinite number of things can be done. And to think that our teachers, as good as they are, can bite off more at this point, it's a little unrealistic to me. Between student learning objectives, a differentiated supervision model, we're introducing a new student information system this year. To then, a new textbook series K through 4 in reading, to then introduce an entire facility, I'm going to call it, and have these different stations, and then ask them to have a workable knowledge at each of these stations to make good things happen. It's a little far-fetched, and I'll speak from experience. When I was a teacher, we got the CFF grants, and I had a computer lab cart in my room. And we made videos for learning. And we did that because I knew ahead of time how to edit video. And my daughter started editing video when she was in first grade. Kids can do that stuff in first grade under the right tutelage. But they gotta have someone to show them how to do it, or they're not gonna do it. And to me, it's far-fetched to think that the classroom teacher can have enough knowledge to pass that around to all these stations to these kids. It's not far-fetched for a person to have their position dedicated to that facility and come in with the knowledge of that stuff. My niece went to CMU. She majored in art. She lives in Seattle right now. She works in a makerspace in the evenings. She has worked on, through her classes at CMU, 3D printers, laser engravers, CNC machines. She has a working knowledge of that coming in. So a lot of that stuff is there already. I'm not trying to downgrade my current teachers, they're amazing. But to put that on top of the pile, understand, tests, PSA tests, we're just finishing them up tomorrow at Perry. They have changed. They are now more rigorous. PA core standards. More time is being dedicated to these things by them. If we throw another piece of straw on that camel's back, I'm afraid it's going to break.
So what time are they going to be utilizing this then? You said when you gave your presentation at the last meeting that there isn't going to be every class scheduled in there. It's not like a thing. So then the teacher has to make the time to go in and utilize this anyway.
Well, it would be more of a directive from me. You need to be in here at least 10 days, a half an hour per in the first 90 days of school, or whatever the math works out to be, because I haven't done that far. And I want these kids to do a project. I want them to do something. You need to work collaboratively with this person in this position to do something. I want that to be your goal. This is what you're going to write your DSM about, and that's how we're going to do it. You